Good morning. Thank you for being here at this earnings result presentation. Thank you for those of you who are joining us online. Chairman, good morning. Good morning, everyone who have joined us here today. We've changed the scenario with regard to results presentation quarterly. You will understand why shortly. We will see the evolution of the business, and I will also be talking about the changes that we have made and that have been approved by the board. As for the earnings presentation and the structural changes that we've made are responding to the huge challenges that are occurring around the world. You are professionals in the information field, so you know this. The business perspective and the insurance perspective means that both are impacted by these challenges, and we have to be even more demanding. Geopolitical tensions, climate events that are more and more frequent worldwide, growth risks, the economic context, as you know, in general, beyond the good situation in the US, we have weakness in the growth in Europe and other countries. And then, of course, although more complex supervision and the technological disruption that are taking place around the world. This obliges us to use a word that we are going to be using a lot, anticipation, anticipation to all that is occurring. In this situation at Mapfre, we're really satisfied. We believe that we are creating the right internal conditions to be able to work within this complex and uncertain scenario. We have to highlight soundness as company. We've had to deal with all sorts of situations, and we still maintain our objectives, and we consider that we are fulfilling them satisfactorily. Even when we were defining the current strategic plan, we're ending the second year. The war in Ukraine was starting, and now we are in the midst of another conflict. These are not ideal circumstances, but we have to assume that this volatility, uncertainty, scenario and unusual circumstances and very negative for people as our wars oblige us to act differently, not only with a conservative approach, but with caution to be able to minimize risks. This is the summary. Historic growth in revenues and premiums, around 11% in both categories. We will reach our historic record in terms of revenues and premiums. Geographic and business diversification is contributing to this. When the automobile business is being weakened, it's improved in the last months. Life in Brazil, reassurance, and other countries are leading this profitable growth. In terms of technical management, we're progressing. We are seeing very good progress. Combined ratio improves by almost 2 points compared to last year, and this means more revenues for our P&L in the majority of countries. Automobile business, it is true, it still presents losses worldwide. In Spain, we are reaching balance, equilibrium, and in the US, we have important recovery, and other countries are in positive figures. The US is a bigger challenge, very positive environment from recurring financial income. They are growing significantly. In non-life, they have grown by 26%. And dividend, I will be talking about that later on. The board considers that we have to maintain the same policy of dividend. It is maintained and it is very profitable. As for main figures, you've seen them, as I was saying, almost 20 billion in premiums, 24 billion in revenue, plus 11% also in premiums. It is great to be able to mention these percentages. Attributable earnings amounts to 546 million, plus 12% compared to last year, and the board has voluntarily decided to apply impairment to goodwill, and this is something that occurred 10, 12 years ago, and we've anticipated this situation. Business plans are weaker in that country, and it will be more difficult for us to go back to good profits. Non-life combined ratio stands at 96.8%, almost our objective. We've reached 96% during this quarter, 98% 12 months ago, and also the solvency ratio we'd said between 197.3%, ROE 8.2%, 9.1 if we have the goodwill. Before giving the floor to Fernando, I would like to review some of the main aspects of these results. We have diversification as one of our pillars. We have excellent growth of life, plus 20% worldwide, and improved profitability, plus 7%, but also non-life business is growing, plus 9% almost. It is true that we have difficulties in some businesses and some environments, but the non-life combined ratio is good, apart from automobile, that amounts to 106, 105.9%, but we are working in emerging countries, and we've always had combined ratios over 100, and this happens in Mexico, in Brazil, where the difference between the inflation rate is huge, and we have financial income that is significant. Non-life, we have increased by 115 million. If we look at financial income, inflation is present, deceleration in many places, but with regard to the sectorial inflation, the increase of costs in services within automobile, this means this is higher. The recovery of frequency going back to pre-pandemic levels in most markets, well, this means that inflation has a higher impact. But automobile is growing by 4%, and we are on the right track. Brazil was the first to implement these measures. They are showing excellent results in automobile, and Spain, as I was saying, going to towards balance. We have to highlight the important growth of Iberia, plus 17%, but also we have to highlight the good performance of Latin America. It is the main earnings contributor to the group, and within Latin America, we can have a special mention for Brazil with double earnings. It is significantly contributing to our P&L. And also Mapfre Reaseguros, with Reaseguros and Global Risk, it is earning 190 million euros, doubled last year's results. And even we also included those 100 million impact in February from the earthquake in Turkey. The situation that we have in North America is obvious. This is the same for other insurance companies in automobile. We're all losing money in automobile, and we need to have supervisors' support to be able to reach good rates. We have seen during the last quarter amortization of costs and stabilization of frequency. So we should anticipate for next quarters going back to normality. And that's it. I will now give the floor to Fernando so he can go into details with regard to the earnings. Good morning. Sorry, my voice is not perfect. Key figures you have on screen. This information. You can see consolidated revenue, almost 25 billion, growth of 11%. On the left-hand side, you have non-life plus 9%, life plus 20, and you almost have 10% growth in financial and others. On the right-hand side, you have the detail of growth and volumes of the main lines of direct insurance. Once again, general P&C, almost 6.6 billion, and a solid growth of plus 12.5%. Second, automobile, 4.6 billion, growth of 4%. And thirdly, health and accident has been growing steadily, more or less along 10%, with 1.6 billion. Life protection 1.9 billion, and life savings 1.9. Life savings growing by 40%. We had an extraordinary injection during the first quarter in Iberia, taking the opportunity of the context, and also growth of 9% life protection. On screen, you have the earnings breakdown, the cascade with the different components of the result. You have non-life, 894 million. It is important to highlight within this non-life earning, we have technical component and the non-technical component. The financial result of non-life is 567 million. Non-life, 60% of the financial result, and the rest is technical result. Good data despite the behavior of automobile and the earthquake in Turkey during the first quarter. Life brings 573 million, an increase forgetting the impacts of COVID, and this allows us to compensate 2 bad years. In this regard, the life is growing by 7% with Brazil and Iberia as drivers. Other concepts, we have holding expenses in negative. We also have the effects of the hyperinflationary economies adjustments, and as a result, also the non-insured entities, 159 is expense. The aggregated effect of these three elements is adjusted to 1.3 billion. The other two concepts that are deducted are taxes. You have the figure 319 million, and the effective fee is above 28%. And non-controlling interest has to do with the earnings that we give to our partners in the insurers' collaborations, Banco de Brasil and Bankinter, among others, 444 million. That is quite higher than last year due to the drive of Brazil. The combined effect of all these components leads to operating results. The sum of the operations that arise to 546 million, growth of 12%. I would also like to say something about the impairment of goodwill. We have registered this goodwill amounting to 75 million. This is 12% of the accountant value. It is an acquisition that took place in 2008. It was in the P&L in 2009. And during all these years, we haven't had a goodwill write-down. We have maintained the acquisition price of that operation. different headlines. The goodwill write-down is not a treasury operation. It doesn't have an impact on our cash generation or the solvency ratio. It is an adjustment in the acquisition price, and it would only have an economic impact if we were to sell that operation. But we're not going to do so. We still believe strongly in this market. And no, the US has not lost 75 million. They have lost 19 million. The adjustment of this goodwill also only affects the holding according to international standards. This has led to anticipating. We are being cautious. We wanted to do this here right now during this quarter due to the uncertainties in the market, the situation of the automobile business, as also with regard to the increase of interest rates that leads to lower value of the flows. Obviously, we will update this. We won't have any relevant changes with regard to final budgets that are approved by the board and taking into account the interest rates that will be present at the end of the year. This goodwill write-down only in the holding according to international standards leads to the 471 in net earnings. Let's have a look at the investments and cash. We have the investment portfolio, positive evolution. We are above 42.3 billion. We're being very cautious. We're not changing the structure of assets. More than 82% in fixed income and other, in equities and funds 8%, real estate, the acquisition price, the market value 4.4%, and cash approximately 5.2%, 2.2 billion euros. On the right-hand side, you have fixed income, 29.4 billion, out of which sovereign debt amounts to 21.3, with a corporate debt of approximately 8 billion. Spain is a natural investor in these bonds, and then the rest is rest of Europe, Italy being the largest. Then we have US 1.6, Brazil 3.3. The lower part of the screen, you can see the off-balance sheet assets, pension funds, plus mutual funds and others. You can see on screen the figures. As for premiums and earnings by business unit, I will highlight the most relevant ones. Iberia 6.7 in premiums, a growth by 17%. Latin America 7.6 in premiums. Brazil and Latin America. We have to highlight Brazil with an improvement of 7% of premiums due to better scenario for life risk and agrarian insurance. We are growing soundly in the majority of markets. Mexico by 26%, Colombia 14%, Dominican Republic 12%, Peru 8%. In these currencies, there's no distortion in the growth. We are growing similarly in euros and in local currencies. North America, premiums 2 billion, growth of 4%, adjustments of tariffs, we're not growing in units, and the Mapfre increased by 9%. In global risks, we are growing over 11%, and then we've reached in Mapfre 6 billion, reinsurance plus global risks growing at similar ratios. As for earnings, once again, Iberia and the US are still impacted by the situation in the automobile business. trends are optimistic. I would like to highlight the earnings growth of Brazil and Mapfre, almost doubling last year's earnings. You can see on screen the evolution of combined ratios per line and per unit. The combined ratio is the inverse of the contribution ratio. It is around 96.8 for the group. We have improved the subscription margin by 1.7. And in general P&C, we have 87.1%. Automobile stands at 106%, plus 0.4. Health and accident stable, and life risk is compensating previous years during the pandemic. By region, once again, Iberia, 98.4%, and Brazil, we are amounting to 78%. Not long ago, we were near 100, and this means also an improvement in fees, and it has been a good year. We haven't had any negative events that impacted our operations. Going back to Brazil, ROE, we stand in Brazil at 24.4%. It is the best ROE, and very satisfied with the evolution of this business. Also, with regard to reinsurance, we stand at 95.5%. ROE stands at 13.2%. That's all for me. I will give the floor back to Mr. Antonio Huertas. Thank you very much, Fernando. I will now explain some additional aspects, and then I will talk about the restructuring that we are announcing. I wanted to confirm our excellent dividend for our shareholders on November the 30th. We approved yesterday 6 cents per share at the board. This will mean 447 million dividend for 2023. This is an average annual dividend yield of approximately 8%. It is a good result in the Spanish market, overcoming 210 million in the last years. This is a spectacular figure, and it means that we continue along our track with good profits that allow us to pay out these dividends and that bring peace of mind to our shareholders. Most of them can have this adequate remuneration, taking into account their trust in the company. I will now talk about the transformation, the new team, the new phase that we are launching. When the board and the executive committee started working to be able to analyze a current scenario and circumstances, we have to be aware that pessimism was the main emotion within the atmosphere. We're not used to having so many external impacts on this environment. It is normally more friendly, more predictable, and nowadays it is uncertain, unpredictable, negative events, wars, climate events, slow economic recovery, energy crisis. Taking this into account, it is difficult to be optimistic, and taking into account that we are devoted to anticipating risks, well, we have to be ready to be able to give answers to our customers. Not everything is predictable. Many of these anomalies are unpredictable. They happen suddenly, and they generate these impacts. This is the external factor, and then on the other hand, we would have the internal aspects. We are aware that Mapfre has to start a different phase. We We have a very experimented team with many years of experience and talent, professional careers here at Mapfre, always valued. We have many capable, trained people who have been with us for many years. Some are young in important positions, and they've proven their capacities. Joining this experience of many of us with the skills of younger generations and understanding this complex, volatile, and uncertain scenario, the board has decided to approve yesterday the creation of a new team. This new team, as you can see, has many changes. This is the chart. I'm not going to go into detail. I'll make a comment on the main highlights, except for the chairman, the legal head, and communication head. All the others are going to be changed to different responsibilities, different functions, and we have to be very brave within an organization and very aware of the impact to do so, to have this team ready to take on any responsibility in any of the positions in Mapfre. And this is powerful. This was mentioned yesterday at the board. Very few companies are capable with 100% of internal talent, with merits within the company, to make these changes, and this brings value to these restructuring process. This is the future of Mapfre. We have executives for many more years, and we have the capacity of holding these positions with new generations because they're working hard in positions with responsibility. This means opportunities. This is a new stage for Mapfre. It is the post-COVID stage. We are closing the sad cycle of COVID, and now we are opening a new cycle, taking into account all these new circumstances. But Mapfre is becoming stronger, strengthening all these positions to be able to give continuity to our projects and business plans, and also opening up new minds with new ideas with this renewed team to be able to bring more value during the next years. We've simplified the structure, no large changes, but yes, in a certain way with regard to the structure, and the chart is heavily focused on the business. People who had important responsibilities in Spain are now moving to corporate to be able to disseminate these good practices in other countries. And at the same time, people in corporate supporting management are coming back to Spain to be able to carry out these activities. From the point of view of governance, I think that we have to highlight, first of all, the retirement of Mr. Ignacio Baeza, our first vice chairman with an incredible career, 25 years. He will retire on January the 1st. He will continue being a non-executive chairman in Mapfre Spain, Mapfre Vida, to be able to bring his good advice to the board too. But this opens up an opportunity. We have two new vice chairmen. José Manuel Ichauri in Iberia is going to be joining me. He will be the second leader. He will take on all these new responsibilities and all the presidential responsibilities that are adequate, and the other third vice president will be Fernando Mata. Congratulations, Fernando. I think it is very well earned after so many years of your work in finance and other departments. This is Mapfre. We have to take opportunities. We have to have the best talent and reward them. Simplification is horizontal in corporate areas and in business areas. In corporate areas, as I was saying, José Manuel Echaurri will have more capabilities. He will have business, overseeing business. He will be led by Raúl Costilla, and also the transformation areas with operations and technology. In people and organization, we've created a new area, people, sustainability and strategy. I think that the alignment of our strategies and business with regard to sustainability are essential, lined with the people structure. And we also are creating 4 units: Reassurance and Iberia Insurance, International Insurance, and the US. Due to current circumstances and the complexity of the business there, will continue reporting directly to me with Jaime Tamayo as CEO. We have also appointed more than 15 new positions, 10 new CEOs, combined experience, age, professional development, and skills demonstrated over the last years. The majority of these new positions from January the 1st are under 55, and most of them are around 40. So future is insurers: Elena Sanz, Jesus Marcia, Eduardo Pérez de Lema, Mapfre, Miguel Cerros, and Felipe Macinente, Brazil, and Form Business, Raúl Costilla, Elena Jiménez, Solunion, José Manuel Alegre, all young executives. Jesus is a little older, but he will be surrounded by younger executives, bringing also all his knowledge and experience to the development of Mapfre. So all of this has led to excitement in the board. We're highly motivated within this team. Changing this team, changing functions, responsibility brings excitement, and also with regard to the different teams, they will be starting new stages with new opportunities that will be reassessed and will also bring other opportunities to other people. We will continue having retirements in the next years, and we have to be prepared for this new stage. And just finally, to conclude very quickly, confirm that the strategic development is fulfilling objectives. We are doubling our growth. We're at 12% instead of 5-6%, combined ratio of 96.8%. We are above ROE 9.1%. We have the solvency margin that we wanted to have, 197, and also debt level within the adequate target. Solid results, a good foundation for this new stage, and apart from thinking about continuity, we evolve, we don't create revolutions, and we will have to overcome these difficulties. We are not an island within the insurance scenario. In all countries, insurance business is complex, critical. In the US, we have autos and also other difficult events, and climate events also are more present. Inflation isn't controlled in many countries. We have a need for capital, and also the intensity of regulatory pressure means that we need to adapt better to do things properly, as we've always done in Mapfre. All these changes will be positive. The shareholders' general meeting will be a starting point for this new roadmap added to the current strategic plan, and we will be able to give answer to all the interest groups. We're honest, we acknowledge difficulties, but we're better prepared to be able to move forward. This is an investment in the future. It is a proactive answer to this quickly changing environment that is bringing all these challenges, also taking into account current society demands. For Mapfre, this is once again an opportunity to prove that we are a company that not only moves forward in business, but also is committed to all stakeholders. Today, we have approved an urgent donation to Mexico due to the hurricane, 150,000 euros that will be sent out to be able to provide aid to victims in Mexico. Mexico is close to our heart. We've been there for many years, and we're very sad to hear about these terrible consequences, taking into account that insurance penetration in that area is not very strong, and the impact on our results will be minimum. And we have to try to help these persons, these victims, and that's what we do. And that's all on my behalf. Okay, let's open the Q&A. Good morning. Automobile, when will it recover a positive combined ratio in Spain and worldwide? Is it enough to have a 6.2% increase? Dividend is the same. We had expectations that Mapfre was going to increase this dividend. Is this due to any requirements by the supervisor? Third question. Results for 2023 are going to be in line with these from September. Could you talk about the impact of the crisis in Israel, if any, and the impact of the hurricane in Mexico? And then regarding appointments within and outside the group, this has been interpreted from a succession point of view. I don't really want you to leave. I think you can continue as long as possible. Will you fulfill the previous habit of leaving at 60? This is what your predecessors did. Autos, Fernando, dividend has been approved by the board. It is a continuation, of course. Dividend has direct relation with earnings. Earnings are good, but this also means complex situations, what the automobile business doesn't bring, and the payout is high. If the dividend is maintained, the complementary dividend at the end of the year, we will present this in February for its approval at the board. And no, the supervisor hasn't requested anything. They are neutral, and they've always been so. Results 2023. Fernando will talk about the potential impact by Israel, Mexico. I've said a few lines, and I will be 60 in January, so it will be difficult for me to leave at 60. There was one chairman who left at 60 and the other one at 64. So in this average, maybe that is where the balance is. Automobile. In general, we are satisfied with the evolution in automobile. It is the same recipe. It is portfolios that didn't have good results. For instance, in Brazil, we cut some of the fleets and units, and in the rest of operations where we have cross sales, and these operations cannot mean cancellation of the insurance, and month we readjust insurance, and this is working well in both markets, in Iberia and the US. The trend is good. In the third quarter, certain adverse climate events have occurred in Central Europe and also in Spain. In Spain, we've had more than 13 million due to the climate events, more than double than last year. Storms and floods in Italy and Germany that have an impact on the combined ratio. We've had 6 heavy rain storms in a row, and these events are generating 25 million in losses additional. This slight improvement in the third quarter is stationary, transitional situation. insurance, 12 months view, and what is not consumed in the premiums each month is taken to the non-consumed part. This liability also has to grow. This has to do with the premium. We're not optimists. We are cautious. We think that the improvement will continue. We can see data in the US. This deferred income is growing by 14%, and this will be reflected in the P&L. In Spain, 7%. Premium at 6%, a little 6.2. Mapfre has decided to protect portfolios. In Spain, our portfolio of insurances based on the risk profile of each insurance, and we are growing the average premium above the industry. When we look at competitors, they haven't witnessed this change of trend, and we're always leaders in this regard. Our average premium is above market, and despite these negative climate change events, well, if the inflation is maintained, we will see other injections to the combined ratio, and if the inflation is maintained, our increases will be cautious. There's no other way to do things with regard to climate events and maintained inflation. Before going back to the questions, I want to comment on my last answer. Like jokes, the board is the one that decides on the chairman. The board assesses independently the chairman, and they decide if the chairman is renewed or not. I'm always at the disposal of the board. My personal intention is to continue as needed until the maximum age of 65. I will continue as long as I am committed to the project, and it is always the case in Mapfre, so no doubt about that. Rafa Sierra, you have the floor. Hello. You are keen on the health insurance in Spain. In this market, many corporate concentration operations are being talked about. Would you be willing to buy an entity that would be part of the Mapfre system? Health insurance is strategic to Mapfre. It is the only branch where we're not in the top 3, but we want to be there. We're growing positively, and the health results have been significantly improved after COVID. We have to continue supporting it. It is one of the insurance that has grown the most. The private in health insurance, it is complementary to the public system, but Spanish people are demanding more and more health insurance to be able to avoid waiting lists and have better attention for their families or children. So we have to try to be one of the largest in health. We're using organic growth to do so. No acquisitions are planned, and we don't know of any companies being for sale right now in this industry. David Deodor, another question. Changes in the management team are the last ones, or do you expect other short-term changes? In Mapfre, we're always having changes. There will be more changes, of course. Every year there are changes. In the last 10 years, we haven't had such a large global change with so many people involved. This is the decade change that I would call, but there will be other changes, retirements, and we have to continue with our excellent team responding to current needs. Miguel? Microphone, please. Hello? Why have the premiums increased so much in Portugal? 40% increase. I don't know if you've made a comment on this. No, we haven't gone into detail. Recurrent premiums are behaving quite well in non-life. The increase is due to saving modalities, but we haven't carried out any significant operations apart from the natural increase of premiums to adjust to inflation. No corporate operations or no standalone operations. Bank assurance. Bank Inter probably. Savings modes with Bank Inter. Right. Microphone, please. In any case, it's a very small company. Any growth due to savings creates this figure. Good morning, Elena, El Español. A couple of questions. I think that the inverse mortgage will be in the market at the end of the year. What else do you need to be able to close this product? And what about the marketing of saving insurance? Fernando's savings, this has been good results. Inverse mortgage, everything is almost ready. We are finalizing the fine-tuning of this product. With Santander, we have the okay by the Bank of Spain to be able to create this credit entity. With Santander, Mapfre Reaseguros will be offering this product. Our forecast, there can be some last-minute incidents. Sometimes this can happen, but to have a good product with all the processes adjusted, and we forecast that it will be ready before the end of the year. But we've been working so long on this product that 1 month more wouldn't be a problem. We're excited. Santander, Mapfre, we both are confident that the development and the care that both organizations have devoted to this product, so the sales are good, and especially for families and potential heirs, know the product, the consequences of the product, so that they take a safe decision, fully aware when the person who subscribes this product may be deceased. It is important to provide the sound information so buyers know this information fully, and our efforts are going to be focused on the dissemination of this information. Life savings insurance, Malta, Colombia, Mexico. It is mainly in Iberia. The quarterly speed is between 440 50 life premiums, 450,000 billion. The difference has been this year during the first quarter. We reached in Spain, let me look at the figure, Iberia in life premium, 1 billion compared to 478 of the second quarter and 409 of the third quarter. There was no product by the bank. Our product is more complete. There was a risk element, and we responded to this need of the market through our network. We created this alternative product, and we obviously are specialized in risk. And once this market opportunity was over, well, we've gone back to the normal, so to speak, figures. It was the first quarter. If we have opportunities within the market, we will take this opportunity, of course, with our insurance. Hello, Daniel Caballero, ABC. 2 questions. with regard to inverse mortgage. Within the financial sector, there's a fear for the reputational impact of this product. You're going to launch it together with Santander. Can this harm your reputation, the launch of this product? And then with regard to the agreement between the Socialist Party and Sumar, can you say something with regard to the reduction of the weekly hours? With regard to the inverted mortgages, well, there's concern. Yes, it is present in both organizations. This product, for this reason, is taking a little longer. We will take the necessary precautions so that the sales process includes the adequate information so that all the family members are in clear knowledge of what this product entails and how it works over the years, especially when the people are deceased and when the heirs have to give back the loan to the company, or the company carrying out the operation and keeping the asset and seeing what to do with it in the future. This has to be very clear. It is a sensitive product, but it is legitimate. It exists in many markets, and we think that it is one of the solutions, one of the options that we can bring in favor of savings related to real estate. Real estate is not marketed when needed. Economic cycles means that you're not always in the best position to sell it. This means that you might have to sell at the wrong moment, and you don't want to do this. And so this also can be important when it comes to retirement. Pensions are good in many cases. They're improving, but there are a lot of people here in this country with valuable houses and low pensions. So this can be a strong contribution. As for your other question, the agreements between the Socialist Party and Sumar, we've read the media. I can't really give my opinion on politics. In terms of labor market, Spain is losing productivity year on year, and we need to recover productivity through different means, recovering hours or having higher technification and digitization of companies so that we can access more options. We need to create opportunities. If we are creating more regulation, more closed spaces, we've talked about burdens, over-regulation with regard to business. All of this is not adequate. So I would ask future government, probably soon, hopefully soon, that they have a pro-company approach, supporting the growth of SMEs in this country, because by supporting SMEs, they're supporting the economy. And the majority of the economy is not only in the hands of private entity. Unfortunately, most of the employment created in this country is private employment. We're reaching record figures, and hopefully it will continue growing. We're seeing also that in many sectors there is a lack of workers, and others we need more people. We should find a balance, and there should be a public-private agreement so that the workers in surplus can retrain and hold different positions, preparing for the future. We don't want senior workers to be far from the market. We want all these people to be linked to the labor market, to be able to respond to company needs. But productivity is key, and companies and government should focus on this to be able to offer adequate products with good margins, with competitive prices, and with a strong export capacity that is still insufficient in our country. Thank you. E.T. Landauro, Reuters. I wanted to know, the estimate was a growth by 5-6%. You've reached 12%. So does this mean that the final year results, well, for premiums, then we're talking about premiums, 5-6%, and we've reached 11. Earnings, we are growing by 11. So at the end of the year, we expect a good result too. But Mapfre is not providing guidance in terms of earnings. ROE between 9-10%. We're closer to 9 without considering goodwill. During the year, we don't give guidance on the earnings, but we expect that ROE at the end of the year will be between 9-10%. Good morning, Manuel Checo, Aseguranza. UNESPA has requested the elimination of the liquidity of pension funds. What's your opinion from Mapfre, and how would this impact you? We're fully aligned with UNESPA. We think that pension funds have to be able to care for retirees. It is true that there's some special conditions that have to be taken into account, and withdrawing funds is a mistake, and this will have an impact on savings and also on the consumption power of our senior citizens. We have to take into account special conditions of people in specific economic circumstances have to be offset with other programs or plans from the government and from companies. Any more questions? With regard to the US, that will be outside this large international insurance unit, when do you think that the situation will be consolidated or normalized? When will it not need a special oversight? Maybe I didn't express myself properly. I love the US. I worked there for many years with Fernando, and we really know that environment. We're pleased, and maybe our deep knowledge is greater compared to other companies. We know the environment. The current situation, it is quite special. They're not making profits. Losses are not so significant. The situation will become normal in a year time. The premium increases are standard, and we don't want it to be within this large unit just due to division of forces, organizational reasons. We have a talented, capable team, more than 2,000 employees, an impressive team in Boston and Puerto Rico, and of course the corporate support is very important, regardless of its situation within the organizational chart. It is not due to the reassurance business situation. It just has to do with the distribution of competencies. And I have one more excuse to be able to travel there too. In terms of regulation, market, product, US is singular market. It is different from all the other regions worldwide. Well, thank you for joining. Thank you for attending. Today is a complicated day. We know that other companies are also presenting results. We will continue with the analyst meeting. But if you want a coffee, we normally would organize it, but we now have the other meeting. We don't have time for that, to share that coffee with you. But thank you to everyone. Thank you once again for your attendance. And I hope that you will be able to extract conclusions from this reorganization, and we will see the results very quickly. And thank you very much for joining us today.